guys, welcome to this week's Licks live stream. This week we're going to dive into some jazzy territory. I'm going to teach you some comping, just a few little chord licks that you can use, for anything really, but it's obviously a jazz world kind of thing to be comping. So yeah, I'm hoping that you guys will walk away with some comping skills today. And as always, the example comes from an actual jam, and it's one of my most popular jazz jams. It's a 2-5-1 jazz jam in C major. It's linked below as always, so you'll hear it in a sec, but obviously you can click the link and practice with that track. That track has obviously a solo as always, and that solo has tab for it as well, so you can learn the solo. And there's also a full like deep dive lesson on Patreon that goes with that solo that explains, more about what a 2-5-1 is and what is happening in the solo. So if you want to dive into that side of it, that's linked from the track as well. So like I said, the track is linked below. So dive into it right there, guys. Yeah, I've also got tab for the actual example of the comping that I'm going to be doing. So I've had a lot of requests for lessons and tabs for the rhythm section parts of my jams, my jam tracks. So this is one of those. I basically wanted to, teach you guys the whole rhythm section or the whole rhythm guitar on that track, because I've had so many requests for it. So yeah, there's tab for the whole of the comping there. I'm going to teach you a portion of it so that we can at least dip our feet into this vast territory called jazz comping. So obviously jazz comping means, accompaniment. So you're accompanying whoever is soloing. That's what jazz comping is. So we'll talk about some of the basics, but essentially I'll just show you this one example. Very, very basic, C major 2-5-1. Here we go. Okay, so that is the example. I'll play it for you one more time. Okay. So there's a few quick little chord combinations here. I like to call them chord licks. So yeah, let's dive right into it, guys. As always, I appreciate you, supporting these Licks live streams. Leave a like on the video, leave comments for, and requests for future live streams. Love it all. Thank you very much, guys, for the support. So, all right, we're in C major. So our 2-5-1 is D minor 7, G7, and C major 7. Okay? So those are the chords that we're going to be playing around with. You can see I'm playing on a Strat here, so not a particularly jazzy guitar, but I do love playing jazz on this Strat. So the way that I've converted it into a jazz guitar is basically I roll off all of the tone, and I play fairly softly with my thumb. So that is the technique I'm using to get that soft jazzy sound. Obviously I've got a little bit of reverb on there, but other than that, it is literally just a clean sound with a bit of reverb. Okay, yeah, and the thumb thing is obviously something you can practice. I am muting with my right hand there after each of those strokes, and also that's something you can control down here as well. We'll talk a little bit more about that. So first of all, we're gonna start by playing just straight on the 1, we're going to play the D minor 7, and you can play these 3 strings, or you can play the root as well. Very often it's fine to leave out the root. I'll leave in the root for now. So here we got 1, so first finger on the 5th fret of the A string, 3rd finger on the 7th fret of the D string. We're barring with the 1st finger, so that also plays the 5th fret of the G string, and then you got your 2nd finger on the 6th fret of the B string. So very basic A shape of the D minor 7 chord. Okay, and so what we're doing here is we play the chord, but then very importantly, we're letting go of it as soon as we played it. And like I said, you know, you can mute as well with your right hand, but you really want the majority of the muting to happen down here with your fretting hand. So that's how you get that little the little the kind of touch you would get, you know, on a piano player, just doing that. You know what I'm saying? So that is a product of control with your fretting hand and your strumming hand, but very much your fretting hand. That's the thing you got to work on to get that kind of release straight away. Okay, so there we go. That is your first chord. Now we can move a little faster because we got the sort of basic technique covered. Now we're gonna go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So that's on a 1 and. So that's obviously a very important part of comping is the rhythmic language, you know, the rhythmic figures, the riffs, if you like. You know, they gotta be strong for it to feel good, and obviously they gotta accompany whoever is soloing. So that's also something, you know, when you're in a live situation, your comping should speak to and under and with, you know, the person who's playing the solo. But in itself, you know, they should be strong, like rhythmic figures. So here we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So that is, here we have a G flat 9. And you actually also, this one's optional, but you can add this note up here as well, which is a 13. So it's like a G13 flat 9. Pretty jazzy sound, like that. So the way you play that is you got your first finger on the 9th fret of the D string, 2nd finger on the 10th fret of the G string, and your first finger is barring, so now we can also play the 9th fret of the B string. Make sense? And now we're gonna also include the, you could just have this try it here, that'd be fine, but optional is this here, the little finger. Okay, such a cool jazzy sound. I love that one. So 1 and 2. Now for the first 2 hits, you're just going to hit these 2 notes here. So that's the in relation to G, the major 3rd and the flat 7. Those are always the 2 essential notes to hit when you're comping or in any chord. You know, it's the 3rd and it's the flat 7. Those are super colorful, important notes to hit when you're comping and when you're soloing. So there we go. So 1 and 2 and 3. So the first 2 hits there are just these 2 notes. Okay, and then after that, you can hit this chord here, where, like I said, this one is optional. You could just play these 3 notes here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So the first one is very staccato. The next one, you can let that ring a little bit more actually, and then the 3rd one, let's make that one staccato as well. So far we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. That is what we got so far. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now we are going to play the C major 7 chord, and we're going to do that very simply with just this here. Very simple. Okay, so that, you might say, what is that? That doesn't look like a major 7 chord. Well, what we're doing here is what you would generally want to do when you're comping, which is, you know, don't necessarily bother with the root notes. You don't really have to think about root notes very much. They're being played by the bass, so it's not really your territory. In fact, you'll get in trouble sometimes if you work with you know, jazz bands and you're playing roots all over the place when there's like a bass player and a piano player and everybody else in the band. You will get in their way, so to speak. So best to very often not include the root note, especially in a chord like this one. So what we have here is the major 7. That's your second finger on the 9th fret of the D string. Second finger, third finger underneath it on the 9th fret of the G string, and then first finger on the 8th fret of the B string. So that, if you look at it from the perspective of C major, the chord that this is, well, that is a major 7, a major 3rd, and the 5th. So everything you need to spell out a C major 7, apart from the C, which is played by the bass, like I said. Okay, so that there, we're going to play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So a lot of upbeats here, which is obviously something you want to play around with a lot. You know, that's really jazz language, you know, a lot of upbeats. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 is how that goes. So let's try it. This is the first line, so we're halfway. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so so the C major, that's 2 bars. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so yeah, 1 whole bar again, where you just state the C major straight on the top of the bar, nice and easy, and then the next bar we go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, like that. Okay, so let's just try the C major bar. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay, so let's do the whole thing one more time. Let me just teach you one more thing as well, actually. Something that's great for jazz practice is practicing with a metronome. Obviously, for any kind of practice, practicing with a metronome is super handy. But when you practice jazz, to get the right kind of feel and to make your practice like super worthwhile in terms of getting a good workout and really, you know, sharpening your time, having the metronome not on 1, 2, 3, and 4, but on 2 and 4 only is a great way to practice. So I'll just show you that right now, how to do that. So this track here is in 120 beats per minute, so like just medium swing, basic kind of thing. And that means for it to be on 2 and 4, well, we'll want to half that number, so it's 60. So we put the metronome to 60 BPM, and then we can count it like this. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's try that. See it? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So practicing with a metronome like that, super handy. I highly recommend it on 2 and 4. Okay? All right, so let's do the rest of this. Let's do the second part, which has that little more complicated kind of chord lick in there. And I'll tell you about that and how that came to be. So yeah, let's dive right in. So first off, we start the same way that we started the first 4 bars. So just by making a stab on a D minor 7 chord. So 1, 2, 3, and then we got on 3 and 4 and. So 3 and 4 and, we got 2 more stabs on the D minor 7 chord. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, and 4 and. 1, 2, 3, and 4 and. And then we're going to continue with that pattern of hitting just the up beats. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay, now what in the world is going on there? That's a lot of chords, but the trick is, it isn't. It is just your D minor 7. I'm actually still thinking D minor 7, even a little bit into the G7 bar. That's something, you know, you can do. You can stretch the bars like that. It's just fun. You know, it's all tension and release, and you know, you can extend tension and then delay release and so forth, as you please, you know, as a jazzer or as a musician. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3. So let's just look at that. Here we have something very basic that I learned ages ago, which is to go through a chord. This is just the D minor 7 chord, and we are basically going through the various inversions here. So what you're doing is you're taking each chord note on each string and walking it up to the next chord tone. Yeah, so chord tone, this is the root, then we're going to walk that up to the to the minor third. This is the fifth, you're going to walk that up to the minor 7. This is the minor 7, you're going to walk that up to the root. This is the minor third, you're going to walk that up to the fifth. So that is how you can move chords around. So it sounds like it's a lot of different chords, but it's just the same chord laid out in different ways. So that's really a trick, you know, to being able to comp and make it more interesting, because it just gives you more things that you can do, more chords that you can lay out, while just still playing, you know, the actual chords. So you can't really go wrong. You just laying it out differently, and then you can start to play around with the rhythms, and it just becomes that, you know, becomes comping just like that. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and. So now we got this one, and then we got this one. Let me show you how these ones are laid out. So this one's a little bit stretchy. So you got the second finger on the 8th fret of the A string with your second finger. Third finger stretches all the way over there to the 10th fret of the D string. You got first finger on the 7th fret of the G string, and then you got your little finger on the 10th fret of the B string. See what I'm saying? So that is actually, I mean, you could see that as an F, but you could also see it as a D minor 7 first inversion, so with F in the bass. Okay? Now we're going to do the same thing again and walk up to, you know, each string walks up to the next chord tone. So that gives us this, which is the second inversion of a D minor 7, or a D minor 7 with A in the bass. Okay, second finger goes on 12th fret, third finger goes on 12th fret, so that's on the A string and the D string. First finger goes on the 10th fret of the G string, and little finger goes on the 13th fret of the B string. Okay, so there we have it. So that's something to practice on its own, just that. Okay, and obviously, like I said, the way I play it is with those kind of soft stabs with the thumb, where you let go and you know, take your fingers off or take the pressure off, but actually still have them touch the strings. That's how you do that thing where the notes die out, but you know, you're still controlling them, so that there's nothing else ringing at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So they die quickly like that. Okay, that leaves just this one here. Again, that's the one we had just before. So again, the 10th, I mean the 12 there on the E string is optional, but you can put it in there if you're feeling extra jazzy. So you got first finger on 9, second finger on 10, first finger on 9, barring, and then little finger on 12. Nice and jazzy. Okay? So 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. So this one you're gonna let that ring for a whole quarter note, and then you're gonna land straight again, just straight on a C major chord, straight on the 1 of the next bar. So let's try it with the metronome, doing it the way that I explained. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. And again. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Let's try the whole thing. 3, 4. 3, 4. Okay, let's do it again. 3, 4. And there we have it. So just some comping licks for you right there. They're there for you to, you know, play around with and explore. The more you explore, the more you will undoubtedly, you know, come up with your own versions, and that way it'll, you know, work its way for real into your playing. So like I always say, you know, take the time to play around with any kind of lick or any kind of idea on the jam tracks, and they will become so much more valuable to you and your playing and your musicality. So like I said, you can grab the tab for this exercise here, and you can gain, you know, access to my full library of tabs and scale maps and lessons and everything else on Patreon. It is linked below, and there's a direct link to the tab for this as well. So have loads of fun with it, guys. Hope that this was helpful for you. Like I said, leave any requests in the comments. As always, guys, appreciate you very much. Thanks for the support, and I will see you for another live stream next week. Until then, happy jamming, and take care of yourselves. Bye.